Welcome back to Your Chapters, Your Story, where we talk about the moments that shape us, the stories we carry, and the truth we're brave enough to claim. Today's episode's a deep one. It's about love, mask, scarcity, and what happens when you finally decide to stop abandoning yourself. Brandi and I talk about how our past shapes the love we tolerate, the myths we believe, and the way we show up in relationships. We dive into embodiment, radical acceptance, and the courage required to be seen. If you've ever questioned your patterns in love or felt like you were stuck between who you were and who you're becoming, this conversation's for you. Let's dive in. What was the earliest messages you received about love?
Well, the two things that come to mind, like the first thing was that it's earned. That was the first thing. And then the second thing was that it leaves, like it's a loss. So I think, the loss piece is probably because of like impact of loss in my life at early ages. And so I felt like love was always fleeting. It was always leaving. It wasn't something that I could actually like experience for a long period of time before it would leave without, any control. And then it's earned is really, I think, the conditioning. So that's more, it came, one came from sort of like the external environment in which I grew up. And then the other is really more about like the, parental influences, the social influences. Like I grew up basically primarily by myself. Like my mom was a single mom and she had to work, multiple jobs just to pay the bills. And so I was home alone a lot of the time. I think I learned just naturally from her, like work ethic and like reward and love. And all of that is sort of tied through accomplishment. Like the more you do, the more you get, and that's how love is earned. And I don't think she did it intentionally. It's just sort of the conditioning that was present based on our situation.
So how did that play a factor, knowing that? Did it kind of continue throughout your whole childhood?
Yeah, I think it was all, reward and recognition and value came from what I gave or what I put in or, I would say the word that comes to mind too is like enoughism, like there's like, I was never really like enough to really warrant the love that I think should naturally just come, right? Like it was like, there just wasn't, it was like work harder, do more, and then maybe you'll be able to receive. And I think that was with like, not just my mom, but with if I think about like early relationships too.
How did scarcity show up in your relationships in your younger years and then into your adult years?
When you say scarcity, it makes me think like being willing to accept the least amount. Yeah, I didn't grow up with any sort of father figure, right? And so from a male perspective, I was always okay with just the bits, like anything that I could get, like, right? Like any little morsel that made me feel like it was love was what I quantified as love. So I think it was like, I didn't really know what a fulfilling or nourishing, loving relationship was. And so I'd get myself into situations where I was giving, trying to earn, right? Earning the love that I thought I was supposed to be working hard for. And then I would receive the littlest bits back in return and think that was enough for me, right? Like that's all I was worthy of, like living in, scarcity mindset with that.
I think we all are conditioned in our upbringing as a child. Then we go into our adult years and then our first relationship really impacts us and shapes us. But when do you feel like you started realizing or questioning, like maybe the love that I had growing up really wasn't what you think love, through all of your stuff that you're doing now, that it, is completely different? Did you always know it was there or you compromised yourself?
I think for the most part, I would say I'm the type that's just worn a bunch of masks. So like there were other priorities, right? The priorities were being a great mom, being a great wife, being a great worker. And these are all like every one of those masks or every one of those skins is heavy with conditioning, right? Every one of those comes with social requirements. Like to be a good mom, you must sacrifice self, feed the children, get them to school, make everyone happy. Also make sure you're parenting and setting, firm guidelines for your kids, like, right? To be a good wife, you must, right? And to be a good worker, you get. And so like each one of those things took my time. My priority was just being really good at those things. And being those things, those identities would then in return feed me. Whether that feeding was love, I don't even know that I quantified it as that, Teresa. Like, right? Like I just knew I was being fed and that's what I was supposed to be doing. Like I was living within the social construct. Like I was comfortable with the requirements that I was being told were success, right? Like these are the measures. Get them. When you get them, you've succeeded. When you're successful, you have love, you are fed, right? And so I really just like went after all of those things. And I feel like I nailed them. Done, done, done. Like, yes, good wife. Yes, raise the kids. My kids are awesome. Yes, I accomplished all the things. Look at me and my career. Woo, like you checked all the boxes. It's like one day you just fucking wake up and you just go, none of that shit matters. Like I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. I'm not living a life of I don't even know what like purpose is. What is 5-year goals don't matter, right? Like how much I have in the bank does not equal love in my heart, right? And I would say it's like the blessing is having the space to contemplate it. Honestly, if you're living in a base survival state, which some of my life I was, you don't even have the space to contemplate this idea. But once you like get out of this base survival place, and I'm grateful that I was able to do that, then you have this like space to go, wait a second. I did all the things that I was conditioned were right for me to do, and I'm not fulfilled. I am not living authentically. I don't even know who I am. And so the unraveling starts. And that's when I started breaking down the social norms, the expectations, the finding my authentic self, like realizing what in flow felt like in my body versus out of flow. Knowing when I go into something and I'm wearing a mask, oh shit, that's a mask. I'm not going to wear that one anymore. Like, or why do I wear that mask? Right. So like tons of contemplating and deconstructing.
You just said I started unraveling. Like you talk a lot about, our bodies, and our bodies tell us a lot. Whether we listen to them or not, they really do give us direction. What was the moment where you started feeling like, what, like you just said, who am I? What was it? Was it something in your body? You don't know what you don't know. You're divorced now, but you could have stayed in your marriage and continued on, and you might not be sitting where you are today with the self-discovery.
Yeah.
But for somebody out there that is still wearing maybe a lot of masks, maybe they don't even know that they're wearing masks because you've been living in it for such a long time. You don't even know you're necessarily wearing them. How do you start opening yourself up to discover like your authentic self?
So first I would say we always know. So even when you don't know, you know. And that's why I love what you said about the body piece, because I think sometimes this is why I'm huge on this. Like I'm all about it. Like you said, going into the body is your best way to know, because sometimes we're not mentally able to handle something, or maybe we're not emotionally able to handle something, but we will be able to physically take it. Our bodies are helping us like with all of that. So if we can tune in and listen, we actually might hear something that we already know, but can't find on our own. I would say, just to start with your first question, like for me, it happened in stillness. And this is why I said it was a blessing to be able to contemplate this. I had taken a sabbatical. First, my kids had reached a certain age, so my role with them had changed. So that's sort of like a natural external progression of motherhood that just makes you reflect on what's my role now as a mother, right? So I'm already changing physical form for my children. External influence that kind of pushes me a little bit ahead, like in my contemplative state. Then I took time off of work. So I took a sabbatical. I had been at the same company for 10 years. And so they allow you like a, semi-paid sabbatical period of time off, which was 6 months. I took 6 months. So I thought the 6 months would feel a certain way, right? I thought I would get certain things from it. And all of a sudden, I don't have this mother role anymore. And I don't have this work role, this high power work role ananymore. And I'm sitting in this silence of who I am and what I've created. And I'm like, what the fuck, right? So it's almost like what I would say is create space. So like, even if it's just a slight little window, it doesn't have to be a 6-month sabbatical and your children don't have to be grown. But how do you create just a slice out of your reality? Like whether that's a solo trip, a weekend in one room by yourself, space, like maybe it's every day in a space outside that allows you to be a part of, removed from every single role that you play in your life. So create a slice, make space, and get into the void away from all roles that you play. And that's conscious. Like that takes conscious effort and practice to even get yourself into the slice. Then I would say it's embodiment. So like I personally think that embodiment comes from movement and breath and passion. So these are how you use your body to get into it, are through those kind of simple elements, right? Like using breath work, using body movement, whether that's dance, yoga, physical training, things that allow you to focus on moving inside of your body and out of your mind. And then passion, which this is one that people don't really talk a lot about. And this is especially for women, another social construct on how we should be with sex and how we shouldn't be with sex. But the more you feel in your body, and our vaginas are our best place or portal for feeling embodiment. So it's like using those tools, like use those tools. How often are you taking a part in your pleasure? Whether that's with another person or solo. When are you sitting with your breath and focusing on certain, just inhale, exhales to get yourself rolling with the fluidity of breath? How frequently are you practicing any kind of movement where you can just feel all parts of your body? So embodiment will allow you to then exit the mind, exit the emotion, and really just feel into what is happening in my body. I ask myself and people that I work with all the time, first thing I say, where are you feeling it? And a lot of us can't answer that right away. Great, what emotion's coming up for you right now? It's anger, it's hostility, it's sadness. Awesome. Where are you feeling it? Where is it physically in your body? And that will take a minute. You're not just oh, that's right, that's here, right? No, now I have to get into my body, get into my breath. Where am I feeling that? And then you can focus on moving through it or understanding it by using your body or knowing something's off just by listening to your body.
Whether I have anger or sadness or these feelings, it is very hard to sit and go, it's coming from my heart or my gut or my hips.
My first certification I ever did was in Kundalini. So this is just something that I personally have a lot of belief in, is the energetic centers in the body. So your spine is where there's the center point, there's energy points everywhere throughout your body, thousands, millions, quadrillions of them. But the main ones that run straight up and down the spine, they start at the base, they run through the tip. These are sort of your light up points. You want to manifest something into your life, you want to have love drawn to you, you want to find happiness or peace or stillness. All these things come from energetic alignment within your body. Your most powerful root as a woman is that Shakti energy, that energy in your base, your vaginal area. So it's the more blocked you are in this area, the more picture it like a flower that never blooms, right? If this flower is it's closed, it's not being watered, it's not in fertile ground, it's sometimes maybe scared or abandoned, or we could think of a million words to describe something that's closed, right? The more it's closed, the harder it is for the energy to flow through it. Nothing is moving in and out through this space. You're not able to potentially even be your full magnetic, energetic self. You may have obstacles or even health concerns that present themselves. It's literally creating one of the largest blocks, energetic blocks within your body by closing down that power source. And it's sort of if you think of it too, it's the entry and exit point. So this is a natural flow that occurs. And rather than going straight up and down, picture it's receiving, you can't see my lower body, but say this block down here, right? You have this energy that goes up and down through your center points. And you want it to come here, right? This is where we're attracting higher level things. This is where you're connecting to something greater than self, whatever your belief system is. If there's a block here, all that happens is it goes down, up, down, up, down, up, right? It's stuck. So the goal is to create all of these open, blooming points within your body. And now we could have other places of closure. Our hearts are another great example, right? If we've been hurt, we talked about love at the very beginning. These things create other closures within us.
A lot of times people have sat in suppression for a very long time. And so feeling anything is super difficult. How do you start opening that up?
Those pillars that I named are the things that I focus on. And so it can be breathing. So there's different breaths that you can use, to either, let's say, anxiousness is something you feel. If you're trying to calm that, if you're trying to just feel into your body, it might be just a focused breath in and out through, following the breath for a certain number of seconds in and out through the nose. If you're trying to increase energy flow, there's numbness present. This might be more of like a belly breath where we're doing breath of fire to like really like work things up. So it's a practice, Teresa. Part of it's like breath. I do believe in the movement piece. So finding some way in which you can move your body. So if it's in the closet, tighter space, but like maybe if you could get in a room, that would be better. But but like, even if it's like certain movements that you do, like just to like awaken your body. This is another one that I just posted like 2 days ago, but like this could be even called like a pleasure practice or a passion practice. Like you can do it in the morning or at night, even just sitting in bed, but it's touching your body from like toes to head and never letting your fingers leave any part of your body. So you're basically like doing this like soft massage from like toe to top. And all of these things, I'm like naming like small, simple practices, but the more you do and the more you do it, right? So try all of them, see what works for you and what doesn't, what feels good, what helps you break a piece off. Like literally 2 days ago, I've been breaking chunks off for years, right? Literally 2 days ago, I had a total fucking meltdown and I was like, oh God. And I sat in it and I did all of these things that I'm saying out loud in my own way, my own form. And like, about an hour later, I'm like, oh God, okay, at least I broke a chunk off. That's what it is. Like, it's like, I'm just like broke a chunk, something can breathe a little bit more, right? Like, oh, that petal was allowed to soften today, right? Like that's your goal.
How did it go from taking this vacation to going, who am I?
Yeah. Well, I think it's just being able to sit in a space that was separate of the roles that I was playing allowed me to be like, wait, what am I doing? How am I feeling? It gave me space. Like I had space to contemplate and then recognize that I didn't know who I was or what I wanted. And it didn't matter. Like, it's also sort of like, I mean, that's a luxury, right? Like I had the luxury of being in these beautiful places. Like I'm also traveling and doing these things and I'm still feeling this way. So it's like, it's again, like noticing, okay, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Why is this showing up the way that is? Even when I have exactly what I said that I wanted. I worked my whole life to get to this point because it was supposed to feel so great. And I don't. Like, this isn't it.
How do you know if you're your authentic self?
I think there's like a couple of different things. Conditioning helps. Use it as a gift. We have been conditioned by external and internal thoughts our whole lives, by all of the different structures that exist that we live in. And so it's sort of like what things are conditioning, right? Because like the idea is if you can strip away or break chunks off, like we were saying, of the conditioning that has made you believe what you do about yourself and about others, the more you break off, or the more you consciously see what is conditioning versus what is not, the closer you can get to authenticity. Look at that conditioning and decide, do I want that? Is that authentic? What framed that conditioning? What made me believe that was true? Is that true? It's like this questioning process as you break this chunk off of you that the external environment gave you the gift of.
A lot of my friends are at this age of dating now that they're through divorces. And so much of us bring the childhood, like what was our childhood conditions like? Learn to peel away my mask and become authentic and learn self-love. Okay, so you peel away your mask, right? How do you get somebody then to take that next step? Because we have a tendency to keep on and go back to comfort and what we know. So how do you help somebody kind of peel away the mask? That's step one, discovery.
Well, first I would say, this is why I use the word conscious, because if you've engaged your mind and you're saying, okay, magic mind, like we've decided that we are going on this journey, then you're making a conscious effort, right? Then it will move forward. You will see it different. Your mind will respond to that ask, right? Like you are now aware, to your point. Once you become aware, like even that practice that I was just saying, just the fight or flight practice, like just noticing the moments you do it, you won't be able to unsee what you see. So once you consciously go into the work and you start practicing some of these things, you can't unsee it. You're not going to be able to go backwards into ignorance. So that's the first point. The second point is that's enough. Okay. So like we also are like, let's call it the human condition, but we always feel like we got to do more and be better and go. Like we're never satisfied. It's the human condition. It's survival. We have to continue to evolve. And so even though we're doing this conscious work, it's not enough. We need a success measure. I need to be loving people better now. I need to love myself by tomorrow, right? You start to like set these check boxes again for us to measure ourselves.
But we're checking them.
We made new boxes, Teresa. We made new boxes, but we can still check them off and measure our success. And so the point is, no, like you don't even need to do that. So just be aware of that too, and be okay just being conscious, just making the effort, just showing up with yourself every day and doing that work. You're going to naturally progress. The chunks will naturally fall away. And you're going to feel like moments of confusion still. You're going to feel all of the varying emotions. It's not like it's going to like change to self-love, right? It's like you are moving through this process of unraveling, like we were saying. And it takes time and patience, and we shouldn't measure it.
Going back to you taking your sabbatical, what was it where you kind of had an aha moment? Again, going back to Brandi, maybe having all these layers or being a different version of yourself that had been buried for years. Like what, was it one moment, or it was just, you're kind of sitting in the stillness and you were like, I'm numb, I'm suppressing. I thought I was happy, but when I think about happiness, I'm not necessarily feeling the joy that I should feel, that I think I could feel. Like, what was it where you kind of realized I have been wearing a lot of mask?
Yeah. I don't know that it's one moment.
That's why I said, was it moments, or was, again, you sitting in the stillness and just feeling the body and your soul and trying to connect with self?
And it was also not being the box, Teresa, right?
My husband wasn't in a happy place, right? My role with my kids had changed. I now no longer had work as sort of like this like pillar of holding me up. Like, oh, I can measure my success here. Nope, that's gone now too.
The type of sabbatical I took, I gave up this like position, right? So I knew I was returning back to an unsure situation there too, right? So it was like I no longer had any
to check. And it was like, shit, how do I measure my success anymore? Like, how do I know that I'm happy? And so it's like, it almost like the aha moment was like not having any of the boxes required me to go inward.
Okay, so what does light me up? What things are hiding there that haven't been spoken? And I would say my personal journey, like one of the things that I recognized about myself pretty early on,
and I knew this from an earlier age, but I had suppressed it with other priorities, was my sexual energy. Like that was something that I had suppressed for a really long time.
I recognized that was needing attention. It was needing care. It was totally closed up. Like this was a part of my body that like needed support. And the more that I gave to it, the more I felt, right? It became that portal that I was talking about earlier. Like the more
opened that piece of me up, the more I realized what needed to chip away, like what other things I needed to work on and where to focus my energy.
I feel like I'm constantly rediscovering myself.
It doesn't ever stop. We're not ever stopping. It's not like you wake up and you're like, I've discovered my authentic self. I'm all done. Like, no.
I would say this. A lot of people I know going through divorces would say, not only do they lose their self in the marriage or a relationship long term, and, get up every day and go to that job. I think with the identity crisis, I think a lot of us avoid conflict.
Yeah.
And so our voices get lost, men and women, get lost in the relationship. So we go so far away from our authentic self that it takes years to find. That's what we're going through now. Years to really find ourselves again. I can say this. I've never had myself, as much as I know who I am today, the self-love, who I feel like I am and the emotions I have. I cry now out of joy. I don't think I've ever cried my adult life for joy, but I think it's because I was numb and I had suppressed for so long. I would rather feel pain than numbness. I would rather feel my soul and my heart and not have that logic part of me that's so robotic and transactional and so far from authentic.
Yeah. What I want to make sure I touch on too is like this idea of like you brought up courage and bravery, right? Too. And like it's kind of what you're talking about right now too. Being willing to experience all of the things and also not step into a space of taking on new masks, new forms, right? Because we're going to continue with the conditioning. Things are going to come at us and we would feel more comfortable if we took a new shape, right? I just had this come up yesterday. Like in multiple forms, I was sort of asked to soften. It's like because of different things. It was like, it would be great if you could soften this a little bit, you know? And it was hard to swallow. Like it was a hard pill to swallow because this is somebody that I care about, right?
But it's like, it's this whole fuck it mindset. It's like, you have to really, again, consciously get yourself into a space where you know
the worst case scenario is that I'm exactly where I am right now doing nothing new. That's the worst case scenario, which means the best case scenario is anything else, anything else. And so it's like no answer is wrong. I have to be willing to step into the unknown. I have to be willing to like not be accepted. I have to be willing to feel the emotions that you're describing, not just the good ones, all of them, because it takes all of them to open the centers and break the chunks off. Those all take conscious step in. Like you have to consciously step into, I know anything is better than where I am right now.
Yeah. Anything I experience is better than. And you have to know that and be willing to do it.
I'm actually, as you're talking, I was thinking about just how I'm living my life. And I feel like I'm stepping into so much uncertainty every day. I want to discover what that feels like of being vulnerable and risk taking and putting myself out there because it didn't work in the past.
Right.
To rediscover, it's like, I got to go a different direction. So I can keep doing that, but I know where that led me versus having a voice and saying what I need or how I think or how I feel.
Yes.
I would rather take the risk of, let's say the boyfriend leaves me and never comes back. It's like, well, at least I didn't compromise my needs. At least I used my voice. And yes, it's painful. But you know what? The pain, eventually joy comes again. And we all learn lessons. And I think every experience teaches us something. I think every experience that I've gotten since my divorce, I can actually say, whether it was joy or pain, I love myself way more today going through all of those lessons, and I wouldn't change a single one of them, even with the pain that was excruciating. You know, I wouldn't change it because after I got through that, I look back and I'm like, but I became the softer Teresa, became the more vulnerable Teresa. But if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Like, this is why I keep saying the word consciously, because you have to prioritize what you just said, right? Like there are some people like,
and that's okay. Like that's their journey, right? You can't get people to choose the discomfort though, right? Like if somebody's like, listen, my priority is complacency. My priority is comfort. My priority is remaining peaceful and still in my current existence.
And I think that's an acceptance, letting that other person, because they've been conditioned a particular way, they're uncomfortable, they avoid conflict. And so that's hard too when you're in a relationship.
I think you bring up kind of like two topics that are like rising up for me. Like one is the radical acceptance, and then the other one is sort of the unconditional love, right? And they're both in a similar bubble, but like radical acceptance is like, that would mean that you accept every single part of yourself, of the person you're sitting across from, of the environment that exists, and the experience you're currently in. To completely accept something would allow you to show up raw, right? If you accept however they respond to you, it doesn't matter. I can accept, I am not fearful of what the environment will do to me
when I show up. I'm not fearful of the experience I'm about to have. If you can accept everything, doesn't mean you like it. It doesn't mean it feels good. It doesn't mean you're going to ask for more of it, right? Like it's like, it's okay to like experience the thing with acceptance and then decide, do I want more of that or do I not?
That's how you can show up totally raw and authentic in a partnership, in anything, in a coffee experience when you're buying coffee, right? Like just even in, like, I think about all of the shit going on in the world and in like how upset people get with each other. Like there's just the amount of low vibration conversations that are happening right now. And it's like, how do we just radically accept everything that's occurring and then show up? That's the only thing required. Like We just need to show up totally raw and bring ourselves to the table in our raw forms and then just radically accept everything else around us. The number one thing that always comes up for me is belief. So like, in order to trust and surrender, you do have to have strong belief. Like sometimes you have to even start there, right? Like if you don't have belief, and this could be a higher power, it could be a higher purpose, it could be belief in self, it could be belief in multiple things. But if you don't have like belief, then it's hard to fall. Potentially you have worked on in the past or have already naturally and just didn't tap on it so much. But that's a core skill that is required, I feel like, for anyone to be able to step into acceptance and be willing to fall.
So I think I've always had the belief, but I think what has made me veer the other way would be lack of trust.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like trusting. And I think a lot of this starts with ourselves, trusting ourselves.
Totally.
That we're making good choices, right? Because part of it, when you think of your life, you're like, wow, I made some of ththose choices. I allowed certain things, right? I had to learn to trust myself.
This, I'm telling you, this is something that we both have. And now, like, and it is something that needs nurturing sometimes, right? We're optimistic humans, Teresa. Like, we do believe that even when bad shit happens, it's good for us. Like, we're like that. Like, that's just,
We believe in it. Like I have strong belief in God, in connection, in higher power. Like that's a belief I have. And so I know, I trust, I surrender to whatever happens because I know I'm going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Like it's good. Yeah. That is something that sometimes needs nurturing before you can love self or have the courage to jump.
no. So belief is important. I think and sometimes it's undervalued.
I think belief, that sense of hope, and I have faith. You have to believe, right? That could happen and that could work out. And I think when you go on your journey of pain and, getting knocked down a few times, it's hard. And I would say that was part of, again, consciously going, I'm going to have faith again. I want to believe that things can work out. I want to talk about unconditional love.
That it's a love that is not based on conditions. And so what that means is that I'm not entering into something expecting something in return. I'm going to give all of myself. There's no conditions that need to be met for me to give all of myself and my love to you. Something may not come back in return, and that's okay. Like it also doesn't mean, so like sometimes people give me pushback on unconditional love because it's like, so you'll let the person like feed you nothing in return for your love? Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I will unconditionally love anybody. I'm going to give all of myself all of the time. Now, does that mean I'm going to be married to that person? No. Does it mean that this person's going to be allowed into my energetic space all of the time and I'm going to ask them for more? No. It's sort of a similar concept as the radical acceptance. I'm going to accept them exactly as they are. I do not require this person to change for me to love them. And they're going to feel that from me, like always. And it does help me also, Teresa, unconditional love, it helps you have an authentic love, right? So now if I receive unconditional love back, this is a true partnership for me.
I know I want this is an energetic exchange that I would like more of because it's authentic. Yeah. I'm not coming into it with conditions and they're not giving me that back. And once I feel that with someone, I know I want more of that.
What do you think is the biggest myth about unconditional love?
Yeah, the biggest myth with unconditional love is that it requires you to be taken advantage of. It's like, oh, without boundaries? Then you're accepting less than, right? Like, why would you give without receiving? Isn't that an unhealthy love, right? Is that healthy to love that way? And my response is always 100% yes. Like it's debatable. Like I'll have this debate with people all day long, but I believe that it's an energetic exchange that is healthy because it's about me. It's like you've said through this entire conversation, right? Like I'm not trying to control anything with the other person. And because I'm able to show up in my true, authentic, raw vibration, I'm giving as much as I possibly can. That is the healthiest love that I could possibly give. It doesn't mean I need to lower my standards or be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't return the same love. This also requires courage and bravery because then what happens? If I give unconditional love and I receive nothing in return, or I received conditioned love in return, or it's not feeling like it's an energetic exchange that's healthy for me, I have to be willing to walk away from it. I have to be willing to step into the unknown versus the comfort. So it's not the unconditional love that's asking me to stay and accept the bits and pieces that I'm being delivered, right? That's my social conditioning. That's my comfort that I'm clinging to.
Can you love someone unconditionally and still walk away?
Yes.
Yeah. But if I say I love somebody unconditionally, why would I walk away?
Well, I was challenged in this when I left my marriage, right? This came up multiple times with him and I because he was challenging that with me. You say that you unconditionally love. Why are you requiring me to do different things now? And it's like, no, my love has not changed. Like, I do unconditionally love you. And also, these things aren't good for us anymore. These things that are in front of us, we have to do something with them.
Because we love each other. They're two separate things.
I think we're thinking about unconditional love as also the evolution of the relationship. And these are not always in sync. These are not always the same things, and they're not always feeding each other simultaneously. So I think it's, again, a conscious thing.
Because I think if you think you love somebody unconditionally, you think you need to stay with them and not walk away.
And still know what's not good for you. Or if you're not getting something in return that is helping you or nourishing you or energetically aligning with you, that's still something that exists. Yeah.
And I think it's allowing you, again, I even think it's allowing you to free yourself of so many things when you can love unconditionally. I think the more we could talk about it, I think as I evolve on unconditional love, is getting people to understand how much you can be your authentic self and love unconditionally. And you don't need the other person to do that. And again, you can still walk away. I think that's the big thing.
I think it's so beautiful the way you just described that. Think about the alternative. If you're not fully showing up and authentically loving somebody, if you're not unconditionally, without all of this red tape and barrier, which, by the way, the other person can't see, they don't know your conditioning. They don't know what
conditions you have wrapped around yourself, like that you require from them in order to receive love. What? If you are entering a loving exchange with another human and you have all that wrapped around you, like you're already set up without love.
That is an unhealthy love.
The reason why we're energetic people, that also comes with that love. That's that unconditional love. We're always optimistic. I mean, that's a good, positive energy. We see the good in people. How would you tell somebody, because obviously in the work that you're doing, how would you begin to tell someone to practice unconditional love?
Yeah, I think that's a big question because it's different for every person. What conditions are you setting in order to give love? What are the conditions that you're setting? List them out, contemplate them. Where are they coming from? Self-love, an element of trust neglect, any of those things. So I'd start there.
What do you tell your younger self today?
I mean, the first thing that came up when you asked that was love. Love was the first thing that came up, which is probably because I know that my younger self needed to hear it. But you're loved. And don't be scared. I think it's the fear that causes us to retreat into these personas and this conditioning. And so the more that my younger self can hear that she's loved and accepted and doesn't have anything to be afraid of, the better she's.
What's the one thing you want every listener to remember about love?
Yeah, it's not conditional. It's unconditional. Tie it to radical acceptance. I want you to radically accept yourself and everyone around you, including the environment and the experience. And that just means that you're able to authentically and fully love. And that's the highest vibration. Like you said, Teresa, that's the highest vibration a person can have. And the more you're in that space, the more you're able to align to that space, the more you will receive from that space.
Thank you for listening to Your Chapters, Your Story. If this episode made you think deeper about the way you love, the mask you wear, or the parts of yourself you've been hiding, that's the work. That's the chapter you're meant to explore. Remember, authenticity is a daily choice. Radical acceptance is a practice, and you are worthy of love that feels like truth, not survival. If this resonated, share it with somebody who needs it, and keep writing the chapters that set you free. I'll see you on the next episode.